Welcome to my channel, and today I want to share a story that shows how one small act of kindness can change a life forever. This is the story of a poor waitress who helped a homeless man every day, not knowing he was actually the father of a rich billionaire. When the billionaire finally finds his father, everything changes. But the real lesson is what happens next. So, if you believe kindness is powerful, stay with me. Let's start. The first black SUV rolled into the dusty compound like it belonged to the whole street. Then another one arrived, then a third. People stepped out, and everyone nearby suddenly remembered to stand up straight. Aisha stood frozen inside her small one-room apartment. Her hand was still gripping the thin curtain she used as a door. The air inside smelled of pepper and smoke from the jollof rice she had just eaten. Her black and white waitress uniform clung to her body, damp with sweat from the long shift. Beads of sweat dotted her forehead, and her feet throbbed as if stones had been tied to them. Outside, her neighbors began whispering and shouting, "Who is that? Is someone dead?" Aisha's heart pounded violently in her chest. She hadn't expected anyone to come. No one ever visited her. No one knew her that well. The SUV stopped. Dust rose and hung in the air before slowly settling like brown powder. Then the front SUV's door opened. A man stepped out. He looked too clean for the compound, too expensive, like someone who didn't belong near cracked walls and rusted roofs. He wore a bright white agbada, freshly ironed. A red cap sat on his head like a crown. He didn't smile. He didn't look confused. He looked like he had come for a purpose and would not leave without it. Two large security guards stepped out behind him. Both were dark-skinned Nigerian men, tall and wide, with faces that looked carved from stone. They scanned the compound carefully, moving their eyes from left to right like hunters searching for prey. Aisha's neighbors stepped back as if the air suddenly became dangerous. Aisha swallowed hard. Her fingers trembled as she pulled the curtain aside and stepped outside. The man's eyes locked onto her immediately. He walked toward her with slow, calm steps. The guards followed silently like shadows. Aisha's throat went dry. She tried to speak, but her voice stayed trapped inside her chest. The man stopped in front of her and said, "Excuse me?" Aisha nodded quickly, her eyes wide with fear. He stared at her for a moment, as if checking whether she was real. Then he asked, "Are you Aisha?" Aisha's heart skipped a beat. How did he know her name? She opened her mouth. "Yes, I am Aisha." The man exhaled slowly, almost like relief. "My name is Chinedu," he said, "and I am the son of the old man you have been feeding." Aisha's eyes widened even more. Chinedu pointed toward the road outside the compound, where an unfinished building stood. "Baba Ikenna," he continued, "is my father." Aisha's body stiffened. Her mind began to spin. The homeless old man she fed every day was the father of a rich man. It didn't make sense. She blinked quickly, as if she could blink away the shock. Chinedu's voice became softer, but his face remained serious. "We have been searching for him." Aisha held her breath. Chinedu stepped closer and lowered his voice so that the whole compound couldn't hear. "I went to where he usually stays," he said. "I found him there. When I spoke to him, he described your place." Aisha felt the ground shift beneath her feet. Her neighbors watched, whispering and pointing. Aisha's cheeks burned with shame. She wanted to disappear into her room, but Chinedu kept speaking. "Thank you," he said firmly. "Thank you for caring for him." Aisha's eyes moved to Chinedu's guards and then back to Chinedu. She didn't know what to say. She only knew one thing: Baba Ikenna was not a bad man. He was only lost. Chinedu continued, "My father suffers from severe memory loss. It happens once every year. When it happens, he forgets everything. His name, his home, even me." Aisha's lips trembled. Chinedu's eyes looked tired, as if he had cried about this privately many times. "We haven't found a permanent solution," Chinedu said. "And when the memory loss occurs, he stays wherever he ends up. He begs, he sleeps on the ground, he doesn't even know he used to be someone important." Aisha felt her heart tighten. She remembered Baba Ikenna's teary eyes, his shaking hands, and the way he always said, "God bless you, my daughter," like that was all he had left. Chinedu glanced around the dusty compound, then looked back at Aisha. "It's surprising," he said slowly, "that even with your own situation, you still decided to help him." Aisha's face tightened. "Your situation?" she wanted to ask. But she remembered her room, the thin mattress, the empty corner where a cupboard should be. Her uniform was almost the only good thing she owned. Chinedu continued, "You have been buying him jollof rice and chicken every day with your salary." Aisha swallowed hard. How did he know it was her salary? Chinedu shook his head in disbelief. "People like you are hard to find." Aisha's eyes stung. She didn't like praise. Praise felt dangerous. It felt like the kind of thing that came right before disaster. Chinedu's voice turned serious again. "Where do you work, Aisha?" Aisha hesitated. If she answered, would she lose her job? But she couldn't lie. "I work at a restaurant," she said quietly. Chinedu raised his brow. "Which one?" Aisha's mouth went dry. "Blue Palm Restaurant." As soon as she said it, Chinedu's face changed. He nodded once, as if confirming something important. "That restaurant," he said, "belongs to me." Aisha's knees nearly gave way. He owned it. Chinedu looked at her and said, "From today, Aisha, you are the new manager of Blue Palm Restaurant." The compound went silent. Not normal quiet. This was the kind of silence that made breathing sound loud. Aisha's neighbors stood frozen. Someone dropped a plastic bowl and it cracked on the ground. Aisha's mind couldn't process the words. "Manager," she whispered. Chinedu nodded. "Manager," Aisha's eyes filled with tears, not because she was happy, but because she was confused and afraid. "Sir, I don't understand," she said. "I'm only a waitress." Chinedu's voice became firm. "You are a good person, and good people deserve help too." Aisha shook her head quickly. Fear rose in her chest. "But my boss, Mama Maria," she said, "she won't allow it. She hates me." Chinedu's eyes narrowed slightly. "Mama Maria," he repeated. Aisha nodded, pleading. "She treats me like I'm nothing," she said. "She insults me in front of customers." Chinedu's face hardened. "You don't need her permission," he said. "Blue Palm belongs to me." Aisha's hands trembled. This felt too big, too sudden, like a dream that could become a nightmare at any moment. Chinedu turned and opened the back door of the SUV. "Get in the car," he said. Aisha blinked. "Get in?" "Yes," Chinedu said. "Come and meet my father." Aisha looked back at her room, the curtain, the cracked wall, the thin mattress. Then she looked at the convoy, the guards, and Chinedu's calm face. She felt like she was standing between two worlds. One world she knew, pain, struggle, and being ignored. The other world she had only imagined, money, power, and safety. Aisha took one slow step forward, then another. She climbed into the SUV carefully, as if touching the seats might dirty them. The guards closed the door. The car started moving. As they drove away from the compound, Aisha looked out the window and saw the unfinished building by the road. Baba Ikenna was still there, sitting on the dusty ground, holding the food container she had given him, eating slowly, like it was the best meal in the world. Aisha's chest tightened. Chinedu noticed her stare. "We will pick him up now," he said. Aisha nodded and whispered, "Please don't frighten him." Chinedu's face softened slightly. "I won't." The convoy stopped near the unfinished building by the roadside. The dust swirled around the vehicles as if the ground itself wanted to hide what was happening. The air felt heavy. The silence was so deep that even the sound of distant motorcycles seemed loud. Aisha stepped out slowly, her legs shaking. Chinedu followed her with the guards close behind. She could see Baba Ikenna sitting on the ground, clutching the plastic container like it was a treasure. His clothes were torn and his hair was messy, but his eyes still held a softness that had always touched her heart. When Baba Ikenna saw the convoy, his face changed. His eyes widened and he tried to stand, but his knees failed him. He clutched the food container closer to his chest, as if it could protect him. Chinedu approached him carefully. "Baba," he called softly. Baba Ikenna stared at him as if the name was a foreign word. His eyes shifted from Chinedu's face to the red cap on his head, to the guards, and back again. Panic flashed across his face. "Who are you?" Baba Ikenna asked in a shaky voice. "Please, leave me alone." Aisha's heart sank. She had seen this before. He was confused. He was afraid. She remembered the day she first met him, the way he looked at her with that innocent, lost gaze. Aisha stepped forward, her voice gentle. "Baba," she said softly. "It's me, Aisha." Baba Ikenna's eyes flickered. For a moment, his fear softened. Recognition touched his face like a small light in the darkness. "Aisha," he whispered. Aisha nodded and crouched beside him. "Yes, it's me. You're safe." Chinedu watched them closely, his face tense. He looked like a man who had never experienced fear in his life, but now he was afraid of losing his father again. Baba Ikenna's hands trembled. "Why are they here?" he asked, staring at the guards. Chinedu took a slow breath. "We are taking you home, Baba," he said, his voice gentle. Baba Ikenna's face twisted in pain. He pressed his palm to his head and groaned. No, I don't belong there," he said. Aisha's heart tightened. She knew that feeling. She knew what it meant when the memory loss was about to take over. Baba Ikenna's eyes rolled back, as if he was trying to catch a memory that was slipping away. He opened his mouth and said a name. One name. Chinedu. Chinedu's eyes filled with tears. "Yes," he whispered, "it's me." Baba Ikenna's face softened, and for a moment he looked like a father who had just found his son again. But then fear returned. He grabbed Aisha's wrist tightly and whispered with raw panic, "Please don't let them take me!" Aisha's eyes widened. She realized the danger of the moment. If Baba Ikenna resisted, the situation could quickly become violent. If he screamed, if the crowd gathered, if anything went wrong, everything could change in an instant. Chinedu stepped forward. "Baba," he said firmly, "I'm taking you home." Baba Ikenna's eyes widened, and he opened his mouth to scream. The scream began, but it caught in his throat. Aisha reacted quickly, her voice calm and soothing. "Baba," she said gently, "it's okay. Nobody is going to hurt you. Please trust me." Baba Ikenna's shaking slowed a little. The scream never came out. Aisha's voice had become his anchor. Chinedu watched them, his face changing. For the first time since he arrived, his strong businessman expression cracked. He saw not a problem or a task, but a lost old man clinging to the only person who had shown him kindness. Chinedu raised his hand to the guards. "Step back," he ordered quietly. The guards obeyed immediately. Chinedu crouched beside Baba Ikenna again. "Baba," he said softly, "you don't have to fight. We are only going home. Aisha will come with us." Baba Ikenna looked at Aisha again. His fingers tightened around her wrist. "She will?" he asked, his voice small. Aisha nodded. "Yes, I will stay with you." Baba Ikenna studied her face, searching for lies. After a long moment, he nodded slowly. "Okay," he whispered. Chinedu let out a breath he didn't know he was holding. They helped Baba Ikenna into the SUV. Aisha climbed in beside him and held his hand. He held her hand like he was holding on to the only thing that felt real. The car moved slowly through the dusty streets, leaving the compound behind. The city began to change. The roads became smoother, buildings grew taller, the air felt cleaner. Aisha looked out the window and saw Lagos in a new way. It looked like a different world from inside the SUV. The bright billboards and shining lights felt like something from a dream. Baba Ikenna leaned his head against Aisha's shoulder. "She smells like home," he murmured. Aisha's chest tightened. She held his hand tighter. They arrived at a large mansion with a tall gate. The gate opened slowly, and Aisha's breath caught in her throat. The gate alone was taller than her entire apartment. Inside, there were green lawns, tall palm trees, and a huge white mansion shining under the evening sun. The place looked too perfect to be real. Baba Ikenna lifted his head and stared. Something flickered in his eyes. "I know this place," he whispered. Chinedu's heart skipped. "Yes, Baba," he said. "This is your home." They helped Baba Ikenna inside. The marble floor felt cold under Aisha's feet. Everything smelled clean and expensive, but Baba Ikenna suddenly stopped walking. "No," he said sharply. "This is not my house." Chinedu froze. "Baba?" Baba Ikenna shook his head. "This place is too big. I don't belong here." His breathing quickened. Aisha quickly stepped in front of him. "Baba," she said softly, "remember the blue chair you told me about? The one you used to sit in the evenings?" Baba Ikenna blinked. "The blue chair," he repeated slowly. Aisha nodded. "Yes. You said it was beside a window, and you liked to drink tea there." Baba Ikenna's eyes softened. He looked around, then his gaze landed on a blue armchair near a large window. "That's it," he whispered. "That's my chair." His body relaxed. Chinedu felt tears burning his eyes. He guided his father to the chair. Baba Ikenna sat down heavily, exhausted. His eyes closed for a moment, then opened again clearer. He looked at Chinedu properly. "My son," he said hoarsely. Chinedu dropped to his knees, tears falling freely. "I'm here, Baba," he said. Baba Ikenna cupped Chinedu's face with trembling hands. "I'm sorry," he whispered. "I always forget." Chinedu shook his head. "As long as you come back, Baba, that's all that matters." Baba Ikenna looked at Aisha. Recognition flooded his face fully now. "You," he said, voice thick, "you fed me." Aisha nodded, tears rolling down her cheeks. "Yes, sir." Baba Ikenna struggled to stand, but Chinedu helped him. Then, to everyone's surprise, Baba Ikenna pulled Aisha into a tight hug. "Thank you," he cried. "When everyone ignored me, you saw me." Aisha cried into his shoulder. "You are not invisible," she whispered. That night, Aisha stayed at the mansion. She slept in a guest room larger than her entire apartment, but sleep didn't come easily. Her mind replayed everything: SUVs, Chinedu, the promotion, Baba Ikenna's tears. By morning, she still felt like she might wake up and find it was all a dream. But it wasn't. Chinedu knocked on her door early. "Get ready," he said. "We are going to the restaurant." Aisha's stomach twisted. Blue Palm Restaurant, the place where Mama Maria ruled with sharp words and cruel looks. When they arrived, the staff froze. Whispers spread like wildfire. "Is that Aisha? Why is she with him? Isn't he the owner?" Mama Maria came out of the office, her heels clicking loudly. Her eyes landed on Aisha and narrowed. Before she could speak, Chinedu raised his voice. "Everyone," he announced. "This is Aisha. She is now the manager of Blue Palm Restaurant." Gasps filled the air. Mama Maria's face drained of color. "What?" she snapped. "That's impossible!" Chinedu turned to her slowly. "Mama Maria," he said coldly. "You will now work under her. You are the assistant manager." Mama Maria staggered back as if someone slapped her. Aisha felt the weight of every eye in the room. Chinedu leaned toward Aisha and whispered, "Be strong." Then he walked out. The moment he left, the room exploded with whispers. Mama Maria stared at Aisha with pure hatred. "This won't last," she hissed. "You think you've won?" Aisha swallowed, forcing herself to stand tall. "I'm just here to do my job," she said calmly. But inside, fear churned. The following morning, Aisha arrived at Blue Palm Restaurant feeling like she was walking into a battlefield wearing a dress. The air inside the restaurant was thick with tension, and the staff watched her like she was a stranger who didn't belong. Their eyes followed her every step. Mama Maria stood at the counter with her arms crossed, her face twisted in anger. She looked like someone who had never been denied anything in her life, and now she was being forced to accept the impossible. Aisha walked in with her head held high. She tried to breathe slowly, to keep her heart from racing. She had always been a hard worker, and she had always done her best. But this was different. This was power. Aisha glanced at the staff and she saw fear, confusion, and a little bit of hope. She knew that if she wanted to succeed, she would need their support. She took a deep breath and walked toward the main counter. "Good morning," she said softly. Mama Maria's eyes narrowed. "You don't get to say good morning to me," she snapped. Aisha didn't respond. She turned to the staff and spoke clearly. "From today, we will be changing some things here. We will work with respect. We will treat each other fairly." The staff stared at her. Some of them looked hopeful. Others looked uncertain. Mama Maria's eyes flashed. "You think you can change this place?" Mama Maria asked, her voice filled with contempt. Aisha stood her ground. "I can try." Mama Maria's lips curled into a sneer. "You don't know what you're doing." Aisha's voice remained calm. "Maybe I don't, but I'm willing to learn." Mama Maria laughed loudly. The sound echoed through the restaurant. "You think you can manage a restaurant? You're just a waitress." Aisha's face tightened, but she didn't lose control. She remembered Chinedu's words. Good people deserve help too. Aisha looked at Mama Maria and said, "I'm not here to fight you. I'm here to help this restaurant grow." Mama Maria scoffed. "You want to help? Start by paying your debts." Aisha blinked. "Debts?" Mama Maria's eyes widened with surprise. "You don't know. You owe money to the owner." Aisha's heart sank. She had no idea what Mama Maria was talking about. Mama Maria continued, "Your salary is always late, and you have been stealing from the restaurant." Aisha's mouth opened in shock. "I have never stolen anything!" Mama Maria smirked. "We have proof." Aisha's face turned pale. She could feel her blood freeze. She wanted to scream, but she didn't. She knew that if she lost her temper, it would give Mama Maria the excuse she needed. Aisha looked at the staff. They were watching her like they were waiting for her to fail. Aisha took a slow breath. "If there is proof, show it," she said. Mama Maria waved her hand dismissively. "Not now. We will deal with it later." Aisha nodded and walked away. She felt like she was walking on a tightrope, and one wrong move could cause her to fall. She went to the back kitchen and called the head chef, Mr. Adekunle. "Mr. Adekunle," she said quietly, "I need to speak with you." Adekunle looked up from his work. He was a tall man with a calm face, but his eyes showed concern. "What is it?" he asked. Aisha lowered her voice. "Do you know what Mama Maria is saying about me?" Adekunle frowned. "Yes. She said you stole money." Aisha's eyes filled with tears. "I didn't steal anything," Adekunle sighed. "I believe you." Aisha looked at him, surprised. "You do?" Adekunle nodded. "I've seen you work. You are honest. Mama Maria is just trying to break you." Aisha's heart warmed slightly. "Thank you." Adekunle leaned closer. "But you must be careful. Mama Maria is powerful." Aisha nodded. "I know." Adekunle continued. "We need to find out who is really stealing from the restaurant." Aisha nodded slowly. "Yes, we need proof." Adekunle looked at her and said, "If you want, I can help you." Aisha's eyes brightened. "You will?" Adekunle nodded. "Yes, we will watch the records and the cash. We will find the truth." Aisha smiled softly. For the first time since the promotion, she felt a small spark of hope. But her hope was interrupted by a sudden loud noise outside the restaurant. A group of men stood at the entrance, shouting loudly. They were carrying banners and wearing shirts with the restaurant's logo. Aisha recognized them immediately. They were union workers. Aisha's heart skipped a beat. The leader of the group stepped forward. He was a tall man with a strong voice and a serious face. He looked like someone who was used to being in charge. He pointed at Mama Maria. "We are here to demand better working conditions," he said loudly. "The workers have been complaining for months." Mama Maria's face turned red with anger. "What are you doing here?" she demanded. The union leader turned to Aisha. "Are you the new manager?" Aisha nodded. The union leader smiled. "Good. We need someone who will listen to us." Aisha's heart raced. She didn't know what to do. She wanted to help the workers, but she also didn't want to create more problems. She took a deep breath and stepped forward. "Please," she said, her voice calm. "Let's talk inside." The union leader nodded. The workers followed. Aisha closed the door behind them and turned to Mama Maria. "Listen," she said. "We need to address the workers' concerns." Mama Maria's face was full of rage. "No, they are just troublemakers." Aisha shook her head. "No, they have valid concerns." Mama Maria scoffed. "You're on their side now?" Aisha looked at her calmly. "I'm on the side of fairness." Mama Maria's eyes flashed. "You will regret this." Aisha didn't respond. She walked into the meeting room with the union leader and the workers. They spoke for hours. The workers complained about low wages, long hours, and poor treatment. Aisha listened carefully, taking notes. She promised to bring their concerns to Chinedu and to fix the problems. When the meeting ended, the workers left, feeling hopeful. Aisha turned to Mama Maria. "We need to improve the working conditions," she said. Mama Maria's face hardened. "You will never succeed here." Aisha looked at her calmly. "Maybe I will." After the meeting, Aisha returned to the office and sat down at the desk. She looked at the files and records, trying to understand the finances. She felt a sudden sense of pressure. She knew that if she failed, she would lose everything. She thought of Baba Ikenna and how he had trusted her. She thought of Chinedu and his faith in her. Aisha took a deep breath and whispered, "I can do this." Then she picked up the pen and started working. Aisha spent the next few days working late into the night. She went through the restaurant's financial records, inventory, and staff schedules. Every paper she touched felt like a piece of the puzzle she was trying to solve. She could feel Mama Maria watching her from the corner of her eyes, waiting for her to make a mistake. The more she investigated, the more she realized something strange was happening. There were gaps in the records. Some money was missing, but it wasn't just from the restaurant, it was from the staff's salaries as well. The more she looked, the more she understood that Mama Maria was not only insulting her, but also hiding something bigger. Aisha knew she needed help. She decided to talk to Mr. Adekunle again. "Adekunle," she said softly, "I need your help." Adekunle looked up from the kitchen. "What is it?" Aisha explained what she had found. "The records don't add up. Money is missing. Someone is stealing," Adekunle frowned. "Mama Maria?" Aisha nodded. "Yes." Adekunle's face darkened. "We need proof." Aisha nodded. "Yes, we need evidence." Adekunle thought for a moment, then said, "I have an idea. We will set a trap." Aisha's eyes widened. "A trap?" Adekunle nodded. "Yes, we will watch the cash and records closely. We will not let Mama Maria know." Aisha agreed. "Okay, let's do it." They worked together to set up a plan. Adekunle would keep a close eye on the cash register, and Aisha would monitor the records. They would record everything and wait for the moment when Mama Maria would make a mistake. Meanwhile, Chinedu called Aisha to the mansion. "Aisha," he said, "I want you to meet someone." Aisha arrived at the mansion and entered the living room. Chinedu was sitting on the couch, looking serious. He stood up and said, "This is my friend, Mr. Olumide." A tall man with a calm face stood up and shook Aisha's hand. "Hello, Aisha," he said. "I've heard a lot about you." Aisha nodded politely. "Hello, sir," Chinedu continued. "Mr. Olumide is a doctor. He has been helping my father." Aisha's heart skipped a beat. "Helping your father?" Chinedu nodded. "Yes, he has been studying his memory loss." Aisha looked at Mr. Olumide. "Can he be cured?" Mr. Olumide sighed. "The memory loss is complicated. We can manage it, but we cannot fully cure it." Aisha's eyes filled with tears. "So he will keep forgetting?" Mr. Olumide nodded. "Yes, but with proper care and therapy, we can reduce the episodes." Aisha swallowed hard. "What can I do to help?" Mr. Olumide looked at her thoughtfully. "You are a strong person. Your presence and support will help him." Chinedu nodded. "Aisha, I want you to stay with my father. I want you to be his companion." Aisha's heart skipped. "Me?" Chinedu nodded. "Yes, you are the only person he trusts." Aisha looked down. She didn't know what to say. Her life was already complicated. She had a job, a small apartment, and now a new world she didn't understand. But she knew one thing. Baba Ikenna needed her. Aisha nodded slowly. "Okay, I will stay." Chinedu smiled with relief. "Thank you." That night, Aisha returned to the restaurant. She was tired but determined. She knew that she had to keep fighting. The next day, Mama Maria seemed even angrier. Her eyes were sharper, and her voice was colder. She started insulting the staff openly, trying to make them afraid. Aisha watched silently, She knew that Mama Maria was trying to push the staff to make mistakes. She knew that Mama Maria wanted to ruin her reputation. Aisha approached one of the waiters, a young man named Sei. "Sei," she said quietly, "I want you to record everything you see." Sei looked confused. "What do you mean?" Aisha leaned closer. "Mama Maria is stealing. I need proof." Sei's eyes widened. "Are you sure?" Aisha nodded. "Yes." Sei swallowed hard. "Okay, I will help." Aisha felt a wave of relief. She knew that if they could catch Mama Maria, the restaurant would be saved. Days passed, and the plan continued. Aisha and Adekunle watched the cash register closely, while Sei recorded everything. They were careful, and they kept their actions hidden from Mama Maria. One night, Mama Maria called Aisha to the office. "Aisha," she said calmly, "I want to talk." Aisha walked into the office and sat down. Mama Maria leaned back in her chair. "I know you are watching me," she said. Aisha's heart skipped. "What?" Mama Maria smiled coldly. "You think you are smart, don't you?" Aisha remained calm. "I'm just doing my job." Mama Maria's eyes narrowed. "You will never succeed here." Aisha nodded. "Maybe not, but I will not stop trying." Mama Maria stood up and walked closer. "You will regret this," she whispered. Aisha's heart raced. She felt fear again, but she also felt anger. She remembered Baba Ikenna's trust, and she knew she couldn't give up. Aisha stood up. "I'm not afraid of you," she said. Mama Maria laughed. "You should be." Aisha walked out of the office and returned to the dining area. She looked at the staff and smiled. "We will find the truth," she said quietly. The staff nodded. Aisha felt a new sense of courage. She knew that the road ahead would be difficult, but she was ready. Aisha woke up early the next morning with a heavy feeling in her chest. The day felt different, as if something important was about to happen. She walked quietly through the mansion and saw Baba Ikenna sitting in the blue chair by the window, staring at the sunlight like it was a gift. Chinedu was already awake. He was in the living room, drinking tea and staring into the distance. His face looked tired, like he had not slept in days. He looked at Aisha when she entered. "How is he today?" Aisha asked softly. Chinedu sighed. "He's calm for now," Aisha nodded. She walked over to Baba Ikenna and sat beside him. She held his hand gently. "Good morning, Baba," she said softly. Baba Ikenna turned his head slowly. His eyes were clear. "Good morning, my daughter," he replied. Aisha smiled. The way he said, "my daughter," always touched her heart. Chinedu approached them and sat across from Baba Ikenna. "Baba," he said, "we need to talk." Baba Ikenna looked at him. "About what?" Chinedu took a deep breath. "About your memory." Baba Ikenna's face tightened. "I know," he whispered. "It is happening again." Aisha's heart sank. She remembered the fear in his eyes when the memory loss started. Chinedu's voice softened. "We will not let you suffer alone." Baba Ikenna's eyes filled with tears. "I am tired," he said. "I am tired of forgetting." Aisha's eyes filled with tears too. She squeezed his hand gently. "Baba," she said, "we will make sure you are safe. We will keep you happy." Baba Ikenna nodded slowly. "Thank you," he whispered. Later that day, Chinedu called Aisha to his office. The office was filled with expensive furniture, but the atmosphere felt cold. Chinedu closed the door behind them. "Aisha," he said, "I have something important to tell you." Aisha's heart raced. "What is it?" Chinedu looked at her seriously. "My father's memory loss is getting worse. The doctors said we need to take him to a special clinic." Aisha's eyes widened. "A clinic?" Chinedu nodded. "Yes, a clinic that specializes in memory therapy." Aisha nodded slowly. "Okay," Chinedu continued, "but the clinic is expensive." Aisha looked at him. "I understand." Chinedu's eyes softened. "You have been helping my father without expecting anything. I want to thank you properly." Aisha felt her heart warm. "You don't have to thank me," she said. Chinedu shook his head. "I do. You have become like family to us." Aisha swallowed hard. I'm not sure I deserve that. Chinedu smiled. You do. Aisha looked down, feeling shy. Thank you, she whispered. Chinedu leaned closer. Aisha, he said, I want you to know something. Aisha looked up. What? Chinedu's voice became serious. Mama Maria is not just stealing from the restaurant. She is involved in something bigger. Aisha's eyes widened. What do you mean? Chinedu sighed. She has been working with people who want to take over the restaurant. Aisha felt her stomach drop. Take over the restaurant? Chinedu nodded. Yes, they want to take control of Blue Palm. Aisha's heart raced. Why would they do that? Chinedu's eyes narrowed. Because the restaurant is successful. It's a valuable business. Aisha's mind began to race. She realized the danger. Mama Maria was not just a cruel boss, she was a criminal. Chinedu continued. We need to protect the restaurant and the staff. Aisha nodded. What do you want me to do? Chinedu looked at her with trust in his eyes. I want you to gather proof. We need evidence to expose Mama Maria. Aisha nodded slowly. I will do it. Chinedu smiled. Thank you. After leaving Chinedu's office, Aisha felt a new sense of purpose. She knew that this fight was not only for her, but for everyone who worked at the restaurant. That night, Aisha returned to the restaurant. She saw Mama Maria standing by the cash register, looking suspiciously calm. She watched as Mama Maria handed a small envelope to a man who was waiting outside. Aisha's heart raced. She recognized the man from earlier, the union leader who had come to the restaurant. But now he looked different. His eyes were cold and his face was hard. Aisha knew she had to act carefully. She waited until the man left and then approached Mama Maria. Mama Maria, she said calmly. Who was that man? Mama Maria smiled. He is a friend. Aisha nodded. A friend of the restaurant? Mama Maria's eyes narrowed. Yes. Aisha forced herself to stay calm. I see. Mama Maria turned and walked away, leaving Aisha with more questions than answers. Aisha knew she needed proof. She needed to catch Mama Maria in the act. The next day, Aisha and Adekunle decided to set up a hidden camera in the cash register area. They used a small device that looked like a simple clock. They placed it carefully so that Mama Maria would not notice. Aisha felt nervous. She knew that if Mama Maria discovered the camera, she would be in danger. Days passed. The camera captured everything. In one evening, Mama Maria was alone in the office. She opened the drawer and took out a small envelope. She opened it and counted the money inside. Her face lit up with greed. Then she picked up the phone and called someone. Everything is ready, she said. We will take over the restaurant tomorrow. Aisha watched through the camera feed. Her heart raced. She finally had proof. She immediately called Chinedu. Chinedu, she whispered, I have proof. Chinedu's voice was tense. Good. Meet me at the restaurant tonight. Aisha nodded and hung up. That night, Chinedu arrived at the restaurant with a team of security guards. The staff stood quietly, watching the scene unfold. Mama Maria was in the office, preparing to leave. She didn't know what was about to happen. Chinedu entered the office and closed the door behind him. Mama Maria, he said calmly, you are under investigation. Mama Maria froze. What? Chinedu placed a folder on the table. We have proof of your crimes. Mama Maria's face turned pale. You can't do this! Chinedu's voice became firm. Yes, we can! Aisha entered the office with the camera footage in her hand. She looked at Mama Maria and said, You have been stealing money and planning to take over the restaurant. Mama Maria's eyes flashed with anger. You think you can stop me? Chinedu nodded. Yes. Mama Maria stood up and tried to attack Aisha, but one of the security guards stopped her. You are finished, Chinedu said. Mama Maria was escorted out of the restaurant. The staff watched silently. Some of them looked relieved, others looked shocked. Aisha felt a wave of relief. She knew that the battle was not over, but she had won the first victory. That night, Aisha returned to the mansion. She sat beside Baba Ikenna and held his hand. Baba Ikenna looked at her and smiled. You did well, he said. Aisha's eyes filled with tears. "Thank you, Baba." Baba Ikenna squeezed her hand. "You are strong." Aisha nodded. "I will continue to fight." The days after Mama Maria's arrest were quieter, but not peaceful. The restaurant began to feel like it was healing slowly. The staff worked with new energy. Customers returned with smiles. Blue Palm Restaurant became a symbol of honesty and hope. Chinedu visited Aisha more often. They spent long afternoons in the garden, talking about life, dreams, and the future. Each time they spoke, the distance between them disappeared, and something deeper grew. Their love didn't rush. It grew gently, like a plant reaching for sunlight. Baba Ikenna's memory episodes became less frequent, but the fear of losing him never completely disappeared. Aisha stayed strong for him. She remained his anchor, his comfort, his constant presence. Even when his mind drifted, he always found her again. One evening, Chinedu took Aisha to the garden under the soft lights. The air smelled of flowers, and the night was calm. Chinedu's heart was beating fast. He held Aisha's hand tightly, like he was afraid she might disappear. "Aisha," he said quietly, "I need to tell you something." Aisha looked at him. Her heart fluttered. Chinedu continued, "My father says you are family, and I agree." Aisha's eyes filled with tears. Chinedu took a deep breath and slowly lowered himself to one knee. He opened a small velvet box and revealed a shining ring. "Aisha," he said, his voice shaking, "I don't know what tomorrow will bring, but I know I want you beside me always. Will you marry me?" Aisha's tears flowed freely. She covered her mouth in surprise. "Yes," she whispered. "Yes, I will." The mansion filled with applause. Baba Ikenna stood at the balcony, smiling and crying at the same time. The wedding was planned quickly, but beautifully. The most expensive hotel in Lagos became the stage for their love. People came from every corner, rich and poor, friends and strangers. Aisha walked down the aisle in a beautiful dress, and Chinedu stood waiting with hope in his eyes. Baba Ikenna walked beside her, proud and strong. He wore his red cap and bright white kaftan, and his eyes shone with emotion. As he handed Aisha to Chinedu, he whispered, "My son, you chose well." The wedding ended in celebration. Aisha became known as the woman who changed a billionaire's life with kindness. She became a symbol of love and goodness in Lagos. Years passed. Aisha and Chinedu worked together, building a strong family. The restaurant became more successful than ever, not because of money, but because it became a place where people felt loved. One night, after 4 years of prayers and hope, Aisha went into labor. The hospital room was filled with tension and fear. Chinedu stood by her side, holding her hand. The moment the baby cried, Aisha felt a flood of emotions. She held her daughter in her arms. The baby girl was small, fragile, and perfect. "She is beautiful," Chinedu whispered. Aisha smiled through tears. "We will name her Neka," she said. "It means Mother is Supreme." Chinedu nodded. A beautiful name for a beautiful child. Baba Ikenna stood beside them, his eyes full of wonder. He reached out to touch his granddaughter's tiny fingers. Then, suddenly, his eyes changed. His expression became confused. He stared at the baby and asked, "Who is this child?" Aisha's heart stopped. Chinedu froze beside her. Baba Ikenna repeated slowly, "Who is this child?" Aisha swallowed hard. Her voice shook as she replied, "Baba, this is your granddaughter." Baba Ikenna blinked, confused. "Granddaughter?" Chinedu nodded, holding back his fear. "Yes, Baba." Baba Ikenna looked at the baby again. His face softened. Tears formed in his eyes. "I hate this sickness," he whispered. "It takes everything from me." Aisha stepped closer and held his hand. "It doesn't take your heart," she said gently. "Your heart always finds its way back." Baba Ikenna looked at her with gratitude. "You are my anchor," he said. Aisha nodded, feeling the weight of his words. From that day, Aisha never left Baba Ikenna's side. She became his strength, his memory, his home. Chinedu stood beside her, not above her, supporting her through every moment. Baba Ikenna's memory came and went like the tide. But one thing remained constant: Aisha. He always remembered her. Years later, Baba Ikenna passed away peacefully in his sleep. There was no pain, only silence and calm. Chinedu held Aisha's hand and cried. Aisha cried too, but she also felt peace. She knew Baba Ikenna was no longer lost. At his funeral, Chinedu spoke with tears in his eyes. "My father once lived like a beggar," he said. "Not because he was poor, but because he was lost. He was found because one kind woman chose to help him when nobody else did." Aisha stood quietly, her heart full of love and sorrow. Life moved forward. Neka grew into a kind and gentle child. One day, while walking with Aisha, she saw an old man sitting by the road. "Mommy," she said, "is he hungry?" Aisha smiled and knelt beside him. She handed him some food. The old man smiled and thanked her. Aisha looked at her daughter and felt a deep truth in her heart. Kindness always returns. And somewhere, beyond memory and time, Baba Ikenna smiled too. If you enjoyed this story, remember that kindness is never wasted. A small act can change someone's life, and sometimes it changes yours too. If this story touched your heart, please like, share, and subscribe for more real and inspiring stories. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video.